we're going to start off this coaching player review with a 2-table 5-L over on Zone Poker. So we've got a half-hour of footage recorded, so we're just going to go through and critique play, stopping as we see fit. 9-6 obviously pretty standard check in the big blind, nothing we can do there. Pocket threes will potentially be looking to play. Certainly be defending the small blind from here. And ace king is obviously an easy raise. Okay, so ace king, I'd like to see a 3-bet here to in or around 30 cents. And we defend the threes, which I like. So we go 35 here, much the same. Okay, pretty interesting spot with the threes. Still, I mean, as far as flops go, without flopping a 3, that's one of the better ones. I would not be looking to fold here. If we're calling there, I mean, like, we have to have some boards that we're looking to continue on, and that's got to be high, like a high up there. Where I mean, talking boards where we don't have a 3, obviously. I'd certainly be looking to defend at least once there. And I didn't actually see the action there. I presume we just 4-bet and we got 4-bet and we got it all in there. It's pretty standard. Not gonna argue about that one. Fortunately, we get there, which is always nice. Queen 10, I'd be looking to open. So we're electing to 3x. As the video goes on, I'll ascertain if we are looking to 3x from all positions. Okay, we have some reasonable blockers to his Jack X, block 10 Jack, 10 Queen Jack, stuff like that. And we also have 3 to a straight, so I'd be looking to see about this board. In around half pot should get the job done quite nicely. We're going slightly larger than I need to here. I don't think it's going to make much difference in the grand scheme of things, but I think we could still just go the kind of 15-16 cent, just save ourselves the few cent here and there, but we take it down without a fight. As I said, it's a very, very minor point, so it's not going to make a huge difference either way. Ace 4, I would be opening from the cutoff, and 10 deuce we will be folding in most scenarios here. Certainly when the cutoff raises. When the early position obviously bombs to the 22 cent, we've got a pretty easy let go. Okay, want to be attacking this ice limper very, very aggressively with a very wide range of hands. I mean, obviously ace king is just close to the nuts in this scenario. I like your sizing. 4x when we are electing to ISO is good. Okay, so we're multi-way. We have the backdoor heart draw and 2 overs. It's a board where it's like a huge amount of hands have hit with this. I wouldn't be looking to c-bet this board. We do have some amount of showdown. We do check back, which I like. And if someone leads here, I'm happy just to go ahead and fold this. For a heads up, I would consider peeling once more. Yeah, I like that we're just continuing to check here. No real point in betting. Like we do actually have a bit of showdown value here, like not chunks, but some. And I mean, this pot sizing actually seems a little bit bluffy, but it also could easily just be a 9 who river triples. And we limp the suited one gapper, which I like. So far, no decisions that I strongly disagree with, except for folding the 3s to a single bet after on the 6-6 deuce. Kind of annoying that we can't just auto top up. I presume we can't, or you'd have it done since you're doing it quite religiously. It's kind of annoying. 8 king, yeah, easy fold. So I'm just going to rewind that there. I didn't actually see. Oh yeah. I wasn't paying attention to that hand. We had a very, very trivial give up on that board. It was not our board. Queen Jack, definitely a hand I consider 3-betting for from late position opens. So for just facing a single raise here, I'd be looking to 3-bet. Here I would like to see an ISO. Oh, this guy's min raised. I'm still happy to go ahead and just look to ISO re-raise here in that scenario. And we flopped the flush over on the right table. Okay, so left table we have a decision here. So this guy's leading out. Raising seems like a bit of an overplay. So in this scenario, after we have just called his 3-bet, even though we're going to have the best hand here at chunk at the time, if we raise here, it just allows him to play perfect poker. So I'd like to see a call here, which we do. And over on the right table, we have a decision now of whether we want to lead or whether we want to go for the check and potentially the check raise. I'd be inclined just to go ahead and lead this board because there are just a ton of hands that are going to want to check back this board that can call a wager. And it's also, there's a lot of bad cards for us as well. We've got a very vulnerable but nutted hand right now. Okay, interesting. This is getting a little bit dicey here on the left table. Obviously, this guy's call behind, which we're not enamored with. We do pick up a gut shot. And this guy continues leading, though, but he continues leading quite small, which is really, really unusual. When he gets two callers, if he has a hand that he, like, he has a value hand, like, i.e., an overpair like Queen's Plus or a set or anything like that, or even like Ace Jack, he should really be going bigger, but I don't think we have any option here other than just calling. I mean, folding seems entirely out of the question. Oh, we have folded. This guy comes back over the top, so that's fine. We would have had a trivial give up anyway. Oh no, sorry. I misread this. I misread this 37 cent as the pot size. Sorry, we did call, and then this guy raised. Yeah, so I'm perfectly fine with how we played that hand all around. I'd like to see a raise here with the flush, rather than just flatting when this guy leads. I'm going to rewind and just rewatch this hand and see exactly how this went down. Sorry, I got distracted by, again, having the two tables on the go when we're trying to do an in-depth review can be a little bit tricky, so there'll be a little bit of rewinding back and forth. So we check. I presume we checked here because I don't think the pot got particularly large. We did indeed. Say I would have rather a lead here, just because I think this board gets checked through quite frequently when we don't want it to, really. When this guy leads, he leads for pot, am I right? He leads for pot. Yeah, I'm happy to raise here. He can have, I mean, if he has a better flush, we're just going to be giving him the business. I mean, if we flop a flush over flush, or flush under flush, should I say, there's no shame in losing a stack. And he can have a decent number of hands that he'll get sticky with here if we raise this turn. When he leads for pot, like, he can have a lot of like ace of diamond type hands. He can have, some two pairs, stuff like that. So I much rather would have preferred to see a raise here on the turn, rather than just a flat and then a lead bet in the river. Okay, pocket queens, 5-7 suited. I open this. I'm not going to argue too much if people want to fold it, though. It's going to be very, very borderline either way. So, and then when there's an open before, that's fine, obviously. And obviously raising the queens blind versus blind. 4-9, we let it go, of course. 2-6, we let go. 7-Jack, we let go. Ace-10 is a hand I will often use as a 3-bet bluff. When there's the min click back, though, we're definitely happy to go ahead and fold. We're not going to be cold 4-betting Ace-10 anytime soon in these pools. Or at least not from those positions, at least. Jack-King suited, obviously very standard open. It's a hand we can mix in with some 3-bet bluffs if under the gun were to open there as well. And 8s, we will almost certainly be playing this hand. So I definitely mix in some 3-bets here as well as some calls. And yeah, unfortunately we had to fold the King-Jack suited. This is obviously a pretty bad board here. Not much we can do other than going for the check fold. We do have the backdoor 8-die flush draw, which doesn't have all that much going for it really, but we are going to be getting bluffed there a reasonable percentage of the time, but out of position there, there's just not really anything we can do on that particular board. There are so few runouts that we can ever consider calling down on. This guy just makes it €1 to go for his whole amount, his whole stack. Jack Deuce obviously folds, and the 6-7 obviously fold. Actually 6-7, sorry, 6-7 I would go for an open here. What am I saying? I thought we were on the button there, I misread the board. Pocket 3s here, definitely call in position. Spot where we're primarily going set mining, but again there are some kind of boards where we will continue on. We flop a gut shot. It kind of sucks that it's a monotone board here. If any of these cards were not the spades, I'd be happy to call a single wager. So when this guy checks, he can potentially be checking a lot of aces on the flop. I wouldn't expect him to check at them on the turn though. But the problem is now that the ace on the river, there's not really anything that we can get to fold. If he's got any pair at all, he's always going to call here. I expect us to lose this a very decent chunk of the time. We could have considered getting aggressive on the flop when he checked to us, or certainly on the turn when he checked to us. But this ace is just a really, really disastrous run out. He called it every single pair. Pretty surprised. I'm shocked he didn't bet that at any point. It's a really, really easy bet with the queen high flush draw and an ace high board as well. So pretty bad play from our opponent. It allowed us to realise our equity where he really shouldn't have, so no complaints. 5-8 suited, if it's multi-way I consider defending here, but again it's going to be pretty marginal either way, so I'm not going to argue too much with the fold. King's obviously easy open. So overall I have to say, no substantial issues with your play. Been playing fairly snug, solid styles from what I've seen so far. Couple of issues with the, as I said, the pocket threes earlier on, and the when we flopped the flush, I would have plucked to have played that a bit more aggressively for sure. 10 jack in the cutoff, I'd be happy to bring that in for an open. Queen 8 off suit on the button, I'd also be bringing this in for an open. Folding Queen 8 on the button there is definitely too tight when it's folded to us. Okay, 7-10 here. We're definitely happy to check. We'd be defending this hand though for sure if small blind had opened. I defend really, really wide blind versus blind. It's just, you know, if he 3x's, we're getting 2-1 on our money and we have absolute position on the hand and we're closing the action. 10-7 definitely going to be good enough to defend in those scenarios. And we're opening the fours from mid position. Pretty disastrous board. I don't mind firing just a single one and done bet here. Just purely because he can have like a lot of pocket pairs that are currently the best hand, like 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, all those types of hands, and we can fold out those hands with almost 100% accuracy. We can sometimes get him to fold some kind of 10x hands and stuff like that as well. I'd be looking to bluff him off of those better, yeah, like these kinds of pocket fives types hands that are going to be flatting those early position opens, along with all of his random suited connector type hands and stuff like that we're ahead of at the moment, but just they can't unless they have the flush draw, obviously they can't continue, and just denying them that equity when they're in position and they have that opportunity to just check back. There's a lot of value going for that. So as I said, I think just going in completely into shutdown mode there with the fours is a mistake, given the types of hands our opponent is going to show up with very, very frequently. Like, yeah, sometimes he will have those kind of Broadway type hands, but a lot of his flatting range is going to consist of those kind of pocket pairs and stuff like that. So missed an opportunity to take down a pot where we had the worst hand there for sure. Ace Queen, I'd be looking to 3-bet versus a single open from anyone here. Oh, excuse me. Pretty juicy here with the call, so I'd be looking to 3-bet here, making it roughly 70 cent to go. So go 67, we won't argue over 3 cents. And we take it down. So my general rule of thumb when we're 3-betting out of position is I 4x, so that would have made it 60, and then we add on. We don't have to add on the full call, obviously, for the other guy, but yeah, making it in around the 70 cent mark to go would be my standard. So I see you follow a similar line of thinking. Aces and ace king, rage confirmed. Easy ISO here, I make this 25 when we're out of position. So we're ISO, just one point to note here, we're ISOing to 20 cent whether we're in position or out of position based on our previous ISO raise. I think it was when we had ace king as well. Definitely be looking to just bring this up just a little bit, just to make him pay that extra amount. Given that he's so short, I mean, it's whatever, it doesn't really make much difference, but if, I don't know if this is your standard sizing or not, but if it is, and this guy was full stacked, we should definitely be just be sizing it up just a little bit more. And pretty easy 3-bet here with the aces. So we make this, I hope, around 70 cent to go again. Do indeed. Okay, so pretty tricky spot here. This guy decides to flat out of position, and this board is pretty damn bad for us. I'd be inclined just to check give up here, even with the backdoor flush draw. There's just too many bad hands here for us that we can be up against. So we do fold. I like it. Okay, so we have the aces on the 7-8-8 with the backdoor nut flush draw. If this guy somehow has an 8 or he has pocket 7s, we are going to lose a monstrous pot. but he can also have a lot of nines, tens, jacks, stuff like that. So I would be inclined not to, sorry, excuse me, not to slow play here. I'd be happy just to bet. I'd be looking to start off with a wager somewhere in around 70 to 80 cents. The small size just allows him to potentially come back over the top as a bluff if he picks up on any kind of weakness on our end. And we don't need to go over half pot really in 3-bet pots typically. And by choosing that smaller sizing, it allows us to bluff cheaper as well. So it looks like we're going to go absolutely massive here, which I think is a mistake. Yeah, no, I don't like this sizing at all. Oh wait, we've timed out. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, well we were gonna make it huge. I don't like making it huge. I didn't realize that we were multi-way here. Sorry, I'm gonna just rewind and make sure that I read that action correctly. So yeah, we were going to bet pot and then yeah, okay, so I'm with it. So yeah, I think betting 70, 80 cents, something like that, is far superior. We now have the nut flush draw on the jack. The problem is this guy can have very few flushes. He can have like kind of king queen of diamonds, stuff like that maybe. But he can also have pocket jacks, which is a bit of a concern. Although he just flatted this guy's open, so pocket jacks aren't all that likely. We're in a bit of a dicey spot here now when we did not c-bet the flop. I still think I just oh sorry, this guy's he's just all in. Okay, yeah, this is a pretty easy flat now. Try to keep this guy in. I assume this guy had like $5 to start with. So yeah, we fold. That is not a good fold. We can't just 3-bet aces and then fold just to a single all in like this. I mean, he can just be jamming Jack X. He's short stacking. He can be jamming his Jack X. He can have like King Jack, Ace Jack. I know we obviously block that fairly heavily, but Queen Jack as well, depending on how bad he is. He can have a lot of those types of hands. He can have just some naked king of diamond type hands that he just wants to jam, so where he's just drawing entirely dead against us. So yeah, we can never consider folding here. I mean, yeah, sometimes we're beat for sure, but that's fine. We just have to accept that and move on. So overall, I'm not a fan of this hand at all. And pretty easy 3-bet here with the ace king then. So I think your sizing is fine here to 48. We can go a little bit larger, but I think 48 is fine. Pretty easy flat here with the trays. We're nice and deep, a little bit deepish. Getting to play in position here versus this guy will be extremely profitable. Not a particularly good board. It's a board that's going to favor the small blinds range a lot more than it will the original razors. Well, yeah, when he leads out there, it's we just get this one up. Pocket sixes, you have a pretty easy open. A6 here, if it's folded to us, I'd like to see just an ISO raise. I mean, we're heads up already, so we can't really class it an ISO, but these limpers, they'll play so passively heads up, where we can just raise and then just bet pretty much 100% of boards with, you know, like kind of just under half pot or half pot, and just basically just be auto profiting against them the amount of times they'll just defend, they'll limp call and then just give up when they've whiffed. And they're going to have so many hands that are just kind of like pseudo connectors and stuff like that. They won't like this kind of board is just perfect, where we could just raise it up and then just bet this board 100% of the time, and he'll just be folding basically everything, or a very, very large percentage of his hands at least. When we do decide to check the flop and we pick up the ace, I think we have a pretty easy call down. Gets a bit dicey, but yeah, I still think I click the call button. So he has the queen tray. Now fair enough, on this specific board, if we had raised and he did decide to call, then he probably isn't folding his open ender, but you get my point. If he's got queen tray, he's going to have a lot of other nonsense as well. And yeah, we can just seriously auto profit there in that spot. And yeah, pretty standard bet spot over here with when we open the king 8 and we flop the flush draw. 7 deuce, nothing we can do there. Neither can we do anything with the 6 deuce. Pretty easy to defend here with the suited one gapper. And pretty easy check fold on that board. We have the backdoor flush draw, but that's definitely not enough to consider doing anything funky. When this guy checks back, I'd actually be inclined to lead here. He's going to have a lot of, he's shown a lot of weakness. It's a board where it's kind of hard for him to be like trapping or anything like that. And it just firing like a one and done bet there. If when he does check back, I think he'll be just folding a decent chunk of the time. Yeah, so we let 8 high win there. A lead on the turn would have obviously gotten him to fold that hand, which would have been good. Queen 7 suited, definitely looking to open this. I'd be happy to open the ace 5 on the cutoff as well. Queen 7, so because I would have opened that hand, I would absolutely have ISO'd it. My general rule of thumb is when someone is ISO'd, and if someone is limped into the pot, it makes it a much more profitable spot than normal, especially when we're in position versus them. So we can actually, if anything, we can actually widen our range ever so slightly. So Queen 7 is a pretty easy, suited especially, is a very easy open from the button. When this guy is limped in, it's pretty profitable ISO spot there. It's just kind of going back to what I was talking about again earlier on, where when someone has limped in, we can just really auto profit in so many spots. So we can just ISO raise against them. They'll just check fold a ton of flops, and it's just a way of just printing money against them, basically. Obviously, sometimes we do get caught out, but it's fantastic because we have absolute position. Sometimes the big blinds, the smaller big blind wakes up at the hand, and that sucks, but it's a risk that's very much we're willing to take. Same again here. I'd like to see an ISO here at the ace a3. Folding is entirely out of the question. And ace jack at this point, I'd be happy just to check this down and take our showdown value. Expect to win actually a reasonable percentage of the time here as played, unless he has like ace queen. Bit of a dicey spot here. I mean, he can't really have much 6x. Can't really have any pocket pairs when he didn't bet this flop. So I'd be calling here and expecting to chop a pretty chunky amount of the time. I'd expect him to have bet all his kings on the turn as well. Although I would have expected him to bet a lot of his king x on the flop as well. If he did, like his ace highs and stuff, he could definitely check back. And that's what I'm saying. Before the board double paired, I think we actually did have the best hand there a very large chunk of the time when the villain takes the line that he did. Okay, looks like we're getting a bit of action here with the kings, so we have a potential for a multi-way pot here. This is always a reasonable price for the blinds to get. Okay, so pocket eights over here on the left, pretty easy call, I like it. Pocket kings, I'd be looking to bet here. On this particular board, I'd be inclined to bet reasonably big. The reason being, we're going to get a lot of folds from kind of like 5, 6, 7, stuff like that anyway, and that's fine. It doesn't really matter what size we go, but when he does have any sort of, like obviously we block king jack, but kind of jack 9 suited, any sort of 10 jack, queen jack, stuff like that, we want to make sure that we are charging in the max here. So I'd be looking to go kind of 20-25 cent here. We've gone a little bit too big with 33, but yeah, it's the same basic principle. I like the large sizing. And yeah, as I said, I mean, he folds, and that is going to happen, but we want to be maximizing the hand size in the times when he does have a hand that can call. When he's going to be folding to that sizing, I think he's going to be folding to most sizings anyway, so we should be going bigger. The only exception may be a hand like 10 jack. But if we choose the 20 to 25, the kind of 2/3 pot sizing that I suggested, I think he does call those types of hands as well. 10 jack suited, easy open. Okay, we flop 3 to a straight and 3 to a flush. I'd be looking to c-bet this board. When he leads into us, it kind of sucks, but we have to fold. If he had checked, though, I definitely would have looked to bet there. Kind of a suspicious lead on that board. I mean, it's a weird one. Like, he shouldn't really have any donkers on that board, really. I mean, even his bottom 2 pairs and stuff seems like a unusual board to donk heads up. 6-4, we kind of have to call here. Like, we're getting 6 to 1 in our money. Obviously, it's not a fantastic proposition, but implied odds are big, and we're getting to see an exceptionally cheap flop, and we have a hand that can flop some straights. So I flick in the chips and complete there in that scenario. Two easy opens here. Kind of an annoying spot here, and this guy 5x's. I just call here now. Like, normally I'd be 3-betting ace queen from these positions, but versus a 5x when we're kind of deep as well, I don't really want to bloat the pot here. So I'd be happy just to go ahead and flat. King jack, I use this hand as a 3-bet bluff pretty frequently, so I'll be 3-betting it to kind of 30 cent. Calling, I think, is our weakest option. I'm not a fan of calling an under the gun open here when there's a lot of potential squeezes behind. So I use it as a 3-bet bluff with blockers, or I fold it. Now that we have called, we have to call the turn. And on the right table, normally, this really stinks. Given the price that we're getting, I peel 1 straight here in position. I think folding is too weak. I'm not a fan at all of the scenario given his large flop sizing, but giving his large pre-flop sizing, but a small flop sizing. I mean, we're getting what, like nearly 4 to 1 in our money, like 3.5, 4 to 1 in our money. We have some showdown value, like a marginal amount, like given his pre-flop sizing, but we definitely have some, and we always have, like, you know, equity, or almost always anyway. You can have like exactly pocket jacks, whatever, but I still peel, and this is getting very, very dicey. This is getting very, very dicey indeed. So this is a scenario where a lot of the pool metagame comes into play, and I don't play in this pool, which kind of stinks. In the stars pool, I'm happy just to go ahead and let this go, because I don't think people are doing this with their flush draws and stuff like that, so I just expect them to have overpairs or ace jack usually. Sometimes like queen jack and stuff like that, but yeah, I think your fold there is going to be fine overall. We are definitely getting bluffed occasionally, but not enough to make us want to play for stacks there, even versus shorty. Okay, fun flop over on the right table. There's just no bad thing to do here really, except for folding. I'm happy just to go ahead and raise and look to get it in. Like, we have incredibly good equity no matter what this guy has, unless he has like exactly like 9-7 of diamonds or something disastrous like that, but you know what I mean. In general, we always have fantastically good equity, and this is a kind of board where, like, if this guy has, like, say if he has an overpair, we're still a favorite, and this card is gonna cause him to clam up a ton here. So I think just raising and looking to bloat the pot as much as possible immediately is better. Now we have to bet with our straight here. Obviously he can still have some flush draws and stuff like that, and he can still have like sets and that kind of thing as well, I guess. And yeah, I think we just have to bet. I think our sizing here is a little off. I think we want to really make sure he calls with this kind of like 2 pairs and his, I mean, even if he has like a king high flush draw or anything like that as well, we want to make sure that he's calling with these hands. And when there's 4 to a straight on the board and we're betting pretty big, I think it's possible they fold these types of hands. Maybe the average player in this pool doesn't, but overall I think kind of like a half pot to 60-cent size is going to be a little bit better in the long run, rather than kind of bombing at 80%. But we get snapped off anyway, so we don't mind that. So I would not be shocked to see something like pocket 8s there, or something like that, like a flop set that just got sticky when he calls as quickly as he did. Pardon me. 6-4 we let go, and pocket queens will be bringing it in for a 3-bet, I hope, making it 45 or so to go. Making it exactly 45. Easy defend here at the 9-10 given the price that we're getting. And we'll just check fold this board. It's getting very, very dicey now. We just call, yeah. Not an ideal board here. Definitely happy to check this back. If he checks to us a second time, then I would be looking to have a wager. I'd be looking just betting kind of like 60 cents, something like that, just to get value from kind of hands like ace king, ace queen, stuff like that might just call. He just bets the 450 all in. Really? This is an interesting one. I call in this spot. Mainly because I don't envision him ever checking his overpairs, and he can't have fives when he's 4-bet free, right? So I'd be looking to call down there. It just seems like it's just a desperation bluff to me. Unless I mean, the only thing that makes sense there is like ace king, where he flopped the flush and just decided to slow play and tried to get you to bluff at it, and then was afraid of missing value, so went for max value. But I mean, I'm okay. I mean, if I lose queens to ace king in that sort of scenario, I'm okay with it. It just seemed too desperate to me there, so I would be looking to make that call, although I do understand your fold. And definitely 3-betting here. I'd be going a little bit larger though. I'd be making it like 60 cent, especially when we're a bit deeper. We get the fold through though. King jack suited here. I'd be happy to squeeze here with all this dead money in the pot. So we're calling instead of squeezing. So these guys can't really have that much of a strong hand. So if we put in the squeeze here, we can. I mean, we'd be making it like what? We'd be making it like 55 cent or so, maybe 60 cent. So we're risking an extra 50 cent or so to win all of this immediately, which we will do at a really high frequency once we get through this player. And I mean, all he's done is min open, so he's not exactly showing tons of strength. And I would expect these guys, if this guy folds, these guys to fold and follow suit really, really quickly. More often than not. And we have a lot of good blockers to their strong Broadway hands. Not an ideal turn, obviously. Not a very good flop here for us over on the right table either. I'd still be calling here. I mean, we still have a gut shot, right? And we're getting an so just rewind it. Like we've got a gut shot. We still have top pair, although it's not, it's not amazing on this board. This guy shouldn't have that many 8x. So and as I said, we have a gut shot, and we sometimes will have like 2 pair and trip outs if we don't have the best hand as it stands. So I think folding there is definitely a bit too tight. You definitely seem to be folding a lot more in spots that you shouldn't be. So there's definitely been a few marginal spots where I've said I think we should be calling here. There are a hell of a lot, like there's been a few very, very close spots for sure, like that, like calling that overbet jam and stuff like that. But there's a few spots there where we're just making way too tight folds. Like the aces is a crazy fold and that sort of thing. So definitely seem like we overfold to a reasonable degree. And that's one thing that I definitely picked up on when you sent on your graphs and stuff like that, just the really, really plummeting red line overall. Be defending, maybe not against a full stack actually, I'd just be letting the 8-7-8 suited go, yeah. If he was full stack though, I'd be just calling and looking to encourage a multi-way pop. Pocket 8's easy open. Yeah, we have a pretty trivial defend here. I'm gonna call getting that price. So again, I mean, if we're folding to that smaller price, it's I mean, we can't do it. It's as simple as that. Like all we need to do there, like we're getting 4 or 5 to 1 on our money there, and we have second pair, so we're giving him credit just for always having a speed basically, which will not be the case. And we have position as well, so it puts him in a really annoying spot with a lot of his range. Easy open with the 8 king. Maybe looking to defend the 9-10. So again, it's just a simple pot odds question. This one is a bit closer since we're out of position, obviously, but we're still only risking, I think it was 8 cent more to win a potential 20 cents. So I mean, we're getting like 2.5 to 1 on our money, and we have a connected hand, so we have to be defending there in that sort of scenario. Otherwise, we're gonna be over folding to steals way too much if we're folding those kinds of hands. Yeah, the 8-7 on the button I like. Getting the walk with the 10-5, always nice. Must be nice. Okay, pretty easy 3-bet here. We can very comfortably get queens in versus this guy if he wants to oblige us. This guy called, which is kind of terrifying given that it's giving this guy a really good play. Like, if this guy's in any way a thinking player, he must recognize that this guy will kind of rejam fairly wide. I think checking back this board is absolutely fine. This is a pretty dicey spot now. Given the fact that we're three-way, I think this would just be a fine fold. Don't expect this guy to start bluffing too frequently. And as I said, I mean, his range, his kind of flatting range there in that exact spot should be quite nutted as well. Just purely because we've got the short stackers just getting a really good incentive to rejam with like $1 or so in the pot already, or close to it, given that he only has like 250 total. Okay, we're coming to the end of the video now. So overall, the main pointers, I think in general your pre-flop ranges are pretty sound. Haven't seen any kind of wild things. Probably there's been like a couple of spots where we have sort of overfolded in the big, for sure, but nothing, nothing like, crazy wild or anything like that. And so pre-flop, I think your basic fundamentals are reasonable. You're probably not 3-bet bluffing enough. There was a few spots where, or ISOing as well. Actually, that was a big thing from we haven't really spotted anything in the later part of the video, but certainly early on. And as we do it, we're icing the 10-jack suited, which I like. But yeah, so there's definitely a few spots early on where we missed it. Post flop though is definitely your biggest spot. I think probably not playing aggressively enough in the right spots. So we've identified a few spots during the hands where we could have picked up an uncontested pot. So one where a villain checked when we hit 6-4. So we had like 0 equity, but it was just a board where villain checked back and he looked very weak, so we could have taken it down, and he was very weak. I think he had the 8 high that time, and there was the hand with the pocket 4s. We were against the pocket 5s. I think we definitely missed an opportunity to pick up that pot uncontested. And there's been a few spots where we've been folding and spots where I really don't think we should be. The aces is the main one that springs to mind there, especially when we had the ace high flush draw to go along with our overpair. So I think that fold is a bit wild, and there's been a few other more marginal spots like with the trays and stuff like that, but overall I think your aggression post flop, more so on just picking your spots and stuff like that, leaves a lot to be desired. So that's definitely a key area to work on. And then looking to max value in certain spots. So the 6-4 suited with the flop flush is the one that mainly springs to mind there. I think we definitely missed a reasonable chunk of value in that one. Jack 8 suited, pretty easy open. I don't know if you can hear the noise outside. It's starting to bucket down rain and snow. We've got a big storm hitting Ireland at the moment, so you might hear the hail and stuff like that. Okay, I just want to see what's happened on this. Sorry, I got distracted by the snow. Okay, so we check back the 9 high board. I think that's reasonable. Oh, sorry, no, we bet the 9 high board. I think you could be looking to check back here reasonably frequently, especially versus the stack size. It's kind of annoying. It's such a nice card for us to barrel, but against this stack size, I think he's just gonna have too many hands that he's just gonna YOLO with. So I think we have to give this one up. And yeah, I think that one's a fine give up. Really sucks though, because if that guy was like full stacked, it would be just that ace, the flush draw coming in, and the ace just would have been such a great card for us to keep barreling and just fold him off all of his pairs basically. Okay, so we're just at 30 minutes of footage now, so that's it for part 1. And we will be reviewing part 2 now pretty shortly after as well. So I hope you have enjoyed it so far, and we'll be back with part 2 very soon.